Yo, what's going on, guys? Jay here, and today I finally got for you the For All the Dogs review by Drake. It is his most recent album, and I'm gonna keep the intro short because I got a lot to say. To keep it brief, we all know and love Drake, one of the biggest rappers in the game for years. A personal favorite rapper of mine as well. He's got so many bangers, so many hits. And I think we could all agree that across the board, For All the Dogs was pretty fucking disappointing. So let's jump right into it. Do got a quick word of the day for y'all. Today we are talking about decadence. Decadence is defined as moral or cultural decline. Using it in a sentence, For All the Dogs is a great demonstration of Drake's decadence over the last several years. And all I'm really getting at this point, at this word, just something to keep in mind while I talk about the album, while you listen to the album, is that Drake is at a point in his career where he has been the face of rap for at the very least the last 5 years since Scorpion dropped, and he really took over the game and ascended to the top. He is one of the most famous people in the whole world. He is rich as fuck. He cannot relate as well as he used to. He doesn't have that everyday life type of experience anymore. He's Drake. 10 years ago, Drake was not where he is at now. He actually had to he had to cultivate a fan base, but like I said, Drake's bigger than he's ever been. But yeah, there was never a chance that this album wouldn't be a massive success and one of the highest selling albums of the year. All right, so with this album being 23 tracks long, it's a little over an hour and 20 minutes, I believe. I did want to talk about the three songs of these 23 that I'm actually gonna be bringing with me. The three songs that I actually listen to that I think will have some agency in my rotation. And we are starting off with the first single for the album, Slime You Out, featuring SZA. For starters, this is the best song on the album. It's always a bad sign when the single for the album is the best song on the album. But yeah, this instrumental is awesome. It has a beautiful gospel sample, as well as a larger-than-life grandiosity that absolutely carries the mood of this track. You're getting some genuinely amazing singing from Drizzy. I love the vocal inflection he's using and the clear passion that he put into this song when he was in the booth. This is genuinely some of the best singing we've ever heard from Drake. On this album, this is one of the few instances of Drake's toxicity being bearable, as throughout this song he's singing about sliming out his girl, his ex-girl I guess, who did him dirty. We get a stunning and soulful vocal performance from SZA, who's hitting similar topical notes to Drake here. We also get a pretty great rapping verse on the back end of this song, where we get a stanza of bars where Drake is rapping through the calendar, dropping bars with every month on it, and this had some real potential to be corny and to flop, but I think it went over pretty well, except for when he said July. That's when I found out that July, that was that was a little cliche, but everything else was good there. I mean, he could have fumbled a lot more times than that. Also in this upper echelon, we got the other single released right before the album dropped, 8 a.m. in Charlotte. This, of course, went viral, being produced by Conductor Williams, which is a huge fucking deal. He absolutely killed this instrumental. It's probably the best produced song on the album. And I mean, I love this song, but it is so frustrating to know Drake can still rap at this level in his career, and he just chose not to on the 22 other songs. I mean, this is like genuinely some peak Drizzy pen game. There's very few other instances where he reaches the levels of complexity in his literary devices and his metaphor and his double entendres, and even in his vocabulary. He is throwing together three excellent verses on this track, and it is good to still have that hope that that man is still there, that Drake is still there, despite the fact he popped out for one track and dipped. And for the final amazing track, we got First Person Shooter, a pretty obvious pick. This was the biggest song on the album, being the one from For All the Dogs to go #1 on Billboard. Thankfully, I would have been pretty upset if he got it, because that song is only viral for the meme and will fall off in about a couple weeks. When the fucking "I got the money for fun" trend dies, it's over for that. But yeah, I've spoken to this track at length in other videos, as well as on the Love of Vibes podcast, and this is one of the best feature performances J. Cole has ever given. To be honest, he kind of carries the song. Not that the instrumental is bad, it's not. We got a great beat. Drake starts off the track well, and contrary to popular opinion, he ends the track well, in my opinion. I love the energy he brings there. But I feel like if you throw any other rapper in that scenario, or if this is just a Drake song, I don't think people would care as much. J. Cole is really what makes this song. He has, again, an incredible verse and one of the only major highlights on this record. I also wanted to talk about Virginia Beach here. It's not quite an amazing song, but it is still a league above all the other tracks on this album. This, of course, went viral for sampling Wise Man by Frank Ocean. And yeah, we get this strong ethereal trap beat complementing the sample, as well as some moody crooning and pretty solid flows from Drake. To be honest, the sample does kind of carry this song. It is kind of what keeps you coming back to it. But Drake's lyricism and content here is honestly worse than ever. We, of course, get the lean on me refrain on the chorus, which turns out to be a double entendre with some bars about Fanta and dirty soda thrown in. This is, of course, the intro song, and one of my major problems with this whole album does come right from the beginning. You, of course, get the chorus here of, I could have treated you better, but no, which, you know, it's a great chorus. I love how Drake sings it, but on this track, we get Drake discussing all the material things he's done for this girl, things he's bought, her vacations he's took her on, and he's rapping about how he's frustrated with how the money has changed her. And this is just an interesting thing to look at, because throughout this album, all Drake really does is complain about how women just like him for the money, right? And well, that's one of two things. He raps about that, and then he raps about buying expensive things for women and flying them out to have sexual relations with them, to fuck. And it's like, what's going on, Drake? Like, what's up, man? Because first of all, you don't have anything better than this to rap about. But second of all, you're just gonna, like, how on the intro are you gonna be frustrated about one girl who you think might be coming a little bit too big for her britches because you got her all gassed up with a bunch of designer and a bunch of fancy food and vacations? But that's also, again, throughout this album, all you rap about providing for these women. And it is this type of contradictory writing that, bringing it back to decadence, it makes me wonder, Drake is clearly having trouble relating to people who aren't at a level that he's at, aren't other superstars, because there's a gap in logic in a lot of the songwriting here. But Drake as an artist musically, because he did used to have very deep music, he could get very lyrical, and he brings great content at points, but here a lot of the content is just confusing and toxic and frustrating. Now, moving on to the next tier, the next little echelon of songs, a group of good to inoffensive songs that I don't think are bad per se, or I don't have major flaws with, but I don't really ever plan on revisiting much, even if they are good. And I wanted to start it with a couple of tracks that I got some hot takes on, some of the maybe more hated tracks on the album. We're talking about Rich Baby Daddy. I love the fast-paced but also spacey instrumental here. We get like a fine Drake performance here where he's dropping bars like Rolly Gang, Petty Gang, Rich Baby Daddy Gang. Just in case you guys were wondering, Drake is at, you know, lyrically at this point in his career. Of course, we have the controversial Sexy Red chorus that everyone hates because everyone loves to hate Sexy Red. And there's a degree to which I understand why people don't like it. I feel like her vocal mix is a little weird, but for me, I love this. Yeah, it's overly raunchy on the chorus, but I feel like her delivery and that energy she brings is a great fucking contrast to the delicate vocal sample, and again, this very spacey and atmospheric instrumental. I think it fits well. Is it too much for a 5-minute song? Yes, but that is a Drake issue. You know, he curated the song, not Sexy Red. She also gives a very short verse at the end of the song. It makes me wonder why even have it at all. But I mean, it was solid. I like how Sexy Red turned down the abrasiveness of her delivery. I think that was a good move. You don't normally hear her like that. And of course, you also got SZA on here, who delivers another amazing feature on this album. I know some people are saying they don't like it or it doesn't fit, but I think the eclecticness of this track works in its favor and is a big reason why I like it. You know, it's this very just kind of out there, kind of different instrumental. I mean, again, Drake is fine, but you just get this very interesting three-way, this interesting crossover with Drake and SZA and Sexy Red. Now, talking about a track that I totally understand the hate behind, BBL Love Interlude. Yeah, the love is like a BBL. You don't know if it's real until you feel it. I mean, it's corny, it's dumb. Nobody really want to hear that, but I feel like Drake is really doing some great singing vocally here. I love his voice. I love the inflections he's hitting. And this is a track I really just enjoy for the instrumental and for Drake's vocalizations. Yeah, what he's saying, just a lot of filler, not too much. But again, aesthetically, how this song sounds is pretty fucking great. One more song a lot of people don't like, and again, I I get why people don't like this song. I get it, you know? Gently with Bad Bunny. Because and I will say this about a couple other songs on the album, this is Bad Bunny featuring Drake. This is no Drake song. Drake doesn't bring anything to Bad Bunny's Latin trap empire other than a pretty mid-Spanish accent and some nice flows, but I mean, this is just a vibe of a track. It's a Bad Bunny song. I don't speak or understand Spanish, but man, I like when that guy's some music comes on, I could get down to that. It's always a good vibe, and Drake matches it here, bringing that good energy. There's no doubt that the heat could be warranted. This is clearly a Drake culture vulture moment. We also got a handful of inoffensive R&B cuts that are a vibe that I want to talk about. I'd say the best of them drew a Picasso. And on this song, Drake just simply cannot fathom the thought of his ex-girl being with a new man. He cannot get this through his head. And it's a pretty baseline, drizzy R&B cut. You get that cold, atmospheric, slowed down R&B instrumental. Some great vocals from Drake. Again, one of those situations where what he's saying is really just a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of yapping. But what's going on the track, how it sounds is very enjoyable. We also get a pretty interesting, ironic bar here. Way I'm feeling on this album really took it easy on you. Could have written more. I mean, this is just funny because obviously in the song Drake is addressing XYZ girl that he could have did her dirty and exposed her in the song, but he didn't. He took it easy on the writing. But it's also funny because Drake he really took it easy on the writing. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I think he let Adonis help a little bit too much with some of the bars here because this shit is elementary at points. On Bahamas Promises, we get a lovey, lusty type of piano ballad from Drake where he's singing to some girl named Haley that he wants to be with. We're getting some pretty great singing and vocalizations from Drake. And though I do enjoy this song, it does feel like an overly long fragment of a song. I feel like this would have worked better as an outro or an interlude or even an intro to a song. Would have been great. Another pretty solid R&B cut here is Members Only with Party Next Door, and this is just like a classic cold Toronto Drake and P&D link up. You're getting some great singing on this song. I don't know how much memorability it really has for me, just because it's in comparison to Drake's whole catalog, right? Like at this point, there's already so many great R&B Drake cuts out there. It's like this doesn't exceed that many of them. I could get better of this elsewhere, but again, it is a great track nonetheless. I enjoy this song a lot. We also got a handful of tracks to talk about where Drake is. Let me know in the comments what you would call this type of subgenre. I'm going to refer to it either as when Drake's hopping into Yachty's lane or pop rage trap. Because I feel like Yachty and Tekka, I feel like are two people who are kind of at the front of this, who are bridging rage aesthetics and instrumentals, but with more of like more sung choruses, more melodic performances. So Another Late Night is a great example of this, and of course it features Yachty, who has got production credits across this album. He's got ad-libs on other songs. He clearly had a large role in the production of this album. Drake said it himself. Yachty also produced this song, and yeah, I like this track just because it's super fun, super catchy. Drake and Yachty are both giving you super playful bars and lighthearted performances. They're giving you some memorable punchlines. And yeah, this song's a pretty great vibe, pretty syrupy, pretty upbeat. Although I will say, a very funny moment, to me personally at least on this song, is on the chorus when Drake says, "And I hate to even call her as my bitch, cause I love that hoe don't even make no sense." This is another ironic moment for the album for me, cause Drake, like someone please stat this out, but in terms of all time, I feel like Drake is probably like top 5 to top 10 rappers who has said bitch the most in their music. There's no way he's not. There are a couple other rappers who come to mind, but I mean, Drake is really up there on that shit. He is always referring to women as bitches in his music. The other reason is this bar has a real meaning or like even contingency behind it, as Drake objectifies her twice in the same line, referring to her ass, and he says he loves that hoe. Like, how are we supposed to take that bar seriously? Moving on to another one of these type of pop rage trap songs. I would say this is one of the most melodic of these songs. We got What Would Pluto Do, and I think it's very cool to see Drake, who is a peer of Future, someone who he's worked together close with, really give him his flowers on the super upbeat and fun song, kind of gargle his nuts a little bit. And yeah, this is a track where we get Yachty ad-libs on the chorus, and a super fun and uplifting beat where Drake is just giving you a great chorus, great crooning. Another instance where there's not much effort going into the songwriting, it seems. Drake is just wondering, What would Pluto do in this situation? We even get a funny punchline here like, girl, you got me begging for a 10 like I'm broke. Screw the World interlude is another cool track here. It is DJ Screw's chopped and screwed version of If I Ruled the World by Nas and Lauryn Hill. Rest in peace, DJ Screw, shout out him. And this track is just very calm, very cool of Drake to put it on the album. I thought it was super enjoyable. So now we get the rest of the record to talk about. Like with Utopia, this is a big enough album. Every song does have to be touched upon. So let's start off with All the Parties, which is another sugary trap cut from Drake. Chief Keef really steals the show here. This song is actually enjoyable, but it's mainly for Chief Keef's part on the chorus. He's got a super deep and almost offbeat delivery. Now, why he only does the chorus once and we get a sleepy Drake rendition of it on the back end of the song, I don't know. But I mean, yeah, with his small part, he really did leave a mark on the album. Vocally, Drake is fine here, pretty inoffensive, but the song does also suffer from the weird structure where you get a weird minor beat switch and bridge in the middle of the song just for it to go back closer to the original beat, and then we get the Drake rendition of the chorus. I don't understand. I feel like this was a bad curation decision. Polar Opposites has got to be one of the weakest outros of Drake's whole career. It's another one of these fine, like, inoffensive R&B cuts. Like, I could listen to this and not think it, like, I don't think this song is trash, but I already have like 3 other inoffensive R&B cuts on this album I might listen to, so why would I listen to the 4th best one? Like, it's just too similar to the other ones and not as good. So far on the record, I have made a mention of Drake trying out some hot sounds that aren't really his territory, like hopping into the Latin trap lane with Bad Bunny, or hopping into Yachty's lane on tracks like Another Late Night. I will continue to point out these instances on the album because this is an issue for the record. Drake tries very hard to be in touch here, bringing a lot of main poppin' rappers and people like Sexy Red and Yeet. But with a lot of these other sounds he's hopping into, these other poppin' lanes he's hopping into, like the Rage lane as well, when we'll talk about I Don't Give a Fuck with Yeet later on. He is really more or less just hopping on that artist track and doing the Drake thing. I appreciate a song on here like Another Late Night with Yachty, where with Yachty's production, I really do feel like this is a genuine Drake song and not something like Gently, where it seems like Drake might have just hit Bad Bunny for an already done track or for something and then Drake hopped on it after the fact. Now, there's nothing wrong with hopping into other lanes, putting on for upcoming artists, and I respect and appreciate Drake for giving these people like a Sexy Red or a big platform to be on. I think that's great for him, but he is hopping into these different types of sounds, different lanes, and not bringing anything new to it, not really adding to these growing subgenres. Now, another great example of this is the second track on the album, Amen with Tizo Touchdown. Off rip, this song screams Donda to me. Of course, Donda came out in 2021, and with that, Kanye West kind of bought gospel sampling into mainstream hip-hop. Now, it's not something you see everywhere with everyone, but if you pay attention, it was present on albums like Utopia by Travis Scott or like How Do You Sleep at Night by Tizo Touchdown, as well as various other things. So here we see Drake hopping into this gospel lane. We get a simple drum pattern with some heavy bass here, as well as some elegant keys, which again is pretty staple to this type of song that relies on the gospel sample to carry the vibe, that relies on the gospel choir to carry the vibe and the aesthetic of the track. You also get Tizo Touchdown on this song, who vocally is great as we know him to be, like pretty fucking astounding, but also as we know him to be, or at least I know him to be, is pretty cliche and all over the place lyrically, not really adding much. Drake, on the other hand, he's bringing through some bars and some content, just nothing that makes sense over a song like this. Once again, we get Drake rapping a lot, bringing up the notion that his ex's other girls can't find a man better than him because they don't have as much money, because they're not Drake. This just comes off shallow. We've been known that, you've been rapping about that, and why is this on a gospel-esque song? This is another instance on the album that I think is showing Drake's decadence, because again, we see him rapping about all these reasons he's great, but it's just things like buying Chanel or Nobu or being able to fly you out first class and all these different things, but we never get Drake dropping any non-materialistic reason to why he's better than his ex-girl's next man's. Moving on, we got Calling For You with 21 Savage. Now, this is actually one of the few like innovative moments on the album. We get this excruciatingly elegant drill instrumental with a beautiful sample that reminds me of Our Destiny by, I don't know if you remember, I think last year, A$AP Rocky posted a song on Instagram with Playboy Cardi titled Our Destiny. This is just a very elegant and opulent. It's not quite drill, right? I feel like it's a nice mix of some abstract hip hop and some heavy pounding 808s. But again, we get another unremarkable Drake performance where he's bringing down his pen game even further to match the pace of this song, as many rappers do on an instrumental like this. We get 21 Savage doing the same on his verse. Definitely one of the weaker features I've heard from him in the past several years. In terms of another innovative thing Drake did on this album, we of course got to talk about the minute and a half long audio clip of two girls being a snobby and complaining. It's just Drake put this on here for a reason, right? There's no way that Drake or anybody else in that listened to this song found this to be anything more than annoying and obnoxious and a complete disruption to the pace of the song, which was already not a great pace song at over 4 minutes. I like to think that Drake put this in here intentionally. It's possible that he just dropped this in there. He was like, oh, I'm gonna annoy the fans, right? He could have, but I like to think there's some message he's trying to send, some idea he's trying to get across. But what could Drake be trying to say by inserting this halfway through what was going to be one of the better songs on the album, low-key, even though Drake and 21 both underperformed? So the only messaging that could even make sense is that Drake is trying to say that all women or women that he's with are just snobby and nothing's good enough for them. What is he trying to say? Based off the way Drake's rapping this whole album, his whole career the last couple years, this type of behavior would annoy the fuck out of him. He hates this. This is that shit he don't like. He throws it into the middle of this song. Why? To try and make a point, to try and expose us to what he's dealing with? I don't know. It's stupid. Also, shout out to 21 Savage, Mr. Young FL Studio, the way he beat him from the back. Mr. I Nutted on a Cheek. Now her new nickname is Babyface. Like I said, unremarkable performance, but he came through with what I think is one of his most memorable nut bars yet. All of my kids get left in our mouths. She says she don't believe in abortions. Definitely a Hall of Fame 21 Savage quotable. We're talking about Fear of Heights, which is this is Drake hopping on a pretty shitty rage beat. I'm not a fan of this one, to be honest. And Drake delivers a Drake-ass performance. The beat is hella annoying. This is how he starts off the song, guys. Girl, you make me wanna cuff you like the law. Girl, you make me wanna do you like the job. I know that you a cat, but can your pussy do the dog? Since this song dropped, I spent countless hours trying to contemplate what this could mean, and it didn't dawn upon me until writing the script for this video. The dog is Drake. The whole time I've been thinking the dog was supposed to mean something else that the cat's doing. You know what I mean? But no, Drake is the dog. He's just trying to find out if Shawty could do him. This is terrible, honestly, lyricism. Do you cuff you like the law? Come on now. This isn't our first studio album, Drake. We got another contender for one of the worst songs I've heard all year with Daylight. We get this obnoxiously hard-ass instrumental that makes your ears bleed a little bit when you put it on. This is some shit that however, I could see Nardo Wick on this, or maybe a 42 Dugg. I feel like this is maybe more in their lane. And here we get one of the worst written songs of the year, where Drake is just saying, shut up in daylight. Just repeats the chorus a shit ton. And this is a legitimately terrible and lazy song. There's nothing redeemable here, except we got that snippet of the My Man freestyle by Adonis Graham on this track. And I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely obvious that he wrote the whole song. When you go and look at Drake's rhymes, his flow structure, and just the words he's using, it's clear that Adonis is likely the person who wrote this song. I'll say, if that's true, this is a pretty impressive song for Adonis. I shout out him on that, but anybody else, nah, man. My man. I Don't Give a Fuck with Ye was another major viral moment from this album. The track starts for a minute with a beautiful vocal sample over this spacey, atmospheric instrumental. And man, this might be the best part of the song. Then the beat drops, and we get honestly a pretty great Benny X instrumental. He killed it on this. And me. So I'm a first-class Yeat hater. That guy sucks. Everyone who thinks he's revolutionizing music, no, he's not. He had a good chorus here. I really enjoyed his chorus. His verse, nah. We don't got to talk about his verse. It wasn't good. Drake's marginally better. Overall, this is just a miss of a song. This feels like Yeat featuring Drake again. Another one of these instances where Drake, I feel like, did nothing to make this song his own. He let this be a Yeat song and just got on it and gave a shitty performance to match Yeat's energy, to match his cadences and his flows. Experimented with a couple of more rage trap-like deliveries. Like Chief Keef said, 7969 Santa is just some shit that I don't like. This is a bad track. This is literally just Drake complaining on the beat for 2 minutes. The beat's fine here, and Drake uses the Chief Keef sample well. Tried Our Best is another really weak cut here. One of the worst written songs on the album. And yeah, here we get some shitty rapping from Drake where he continues to imply just because that he could aid you financially and give you a rock star life, that he is an incredible partner who could do no wrong. Away From Home is another notably shit track where Drake is kind of just remembering things. As he says throughout the chorus, I remember. Throughout the whole song, for whatever reason, continues to drop random first names. I assume this is some type of trick or scheme for Drake to make us think that he knows people. And we of course have a horrible stanza to bring in again. I remember fighting over Monica with Jason. I remember only knowing Andre and Jason. I remember buying on the iceberg from Jason. It's like 3 different Jasons by life, like the Matrix. I hate this song, but I hate these specific 4 bars because, as you know, or as you may not know, my name is Jason. I hope nobody ever sees me or like hears my name and thinks of this. It's just shit bars too. Like, it's really just shit bars. Like, for the Matrix bar wasn't even that like good enough for the payoff of talking about only knowing Andre and Jason. Like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that, Drake? Overall, with For All the Dogs, my enjoyment of a lot of songs is pretty reliant on Drake's singing and vocal performances, because the writing throughout this album is pretty bad. The instrumentals throughout this album are good enough to bad. There's nothing really crazy that's stunning you on the instrumental side, other than tracks like 8 AM in Charlotte or Slime You Out. But Drake does happen to be an incredible singer, to be honest, guys. He is laying down some solid melodies throughout the album. He's hitting nice notes, so despite the trash lyrics throughout this album, it's hard to discredit the enjoyability factor to some of these songs that I was talking about before. Songs in the level of like Polar Opposites that aren't really that good, but they're also like, Drake's a good singer. Honestly, For All the Dogs has been trashed across the internet. It's not as bad of an album as I want it to be. As someone who was really hoping and vying for the old Drake being back on For All the Dogs, I really want to hate this more, because this album makes it clear that the old Drake is gone. He is simply at a different point in his life, obviously, but he's not ever gonna come close to reaching the point he was at again, you know? He's a person who is jaded with the fame and the lifestyle, who has been in it for a very long period of time. I will also say this album is worse than Certified Lover Boy. Not significantly, they're both in the same range. It is better than Honestly Nevermind, but other than that, this might be Drake's worst album yet. My 3 major takeaways from For All the Dogs, because I've talked about the music so much, but Drake is going to continue to hop in the lane of popular subgenres and subcultures of hip-hop, but never contribute anything to them. For example, if any of you guys don't know what I mean by that, like take Westside Gunn, for example, who has been facing criticism for his use of trap instrumentals on his new album, And Then You Pray For Me. But the difference between like that and what like Drake did here on the Bad Bunny song Gently is that Westside Gunn didn't like just take like generic trap instrumentals and like the standard rappers. Like, he brought the Griselda grit and elegance that is found in Westside Gunn's whole catalog to these trap instrumentals. He clearly had a vision. Yeah, other than that, Drake is more toxic and out of touch than ever. All he really rapped about on this album was women and buying them things and having relations with them. It just goes to show he doesn't know what his fans want, He doesn't know what his fans want, and he's out of touch with the current landscape of hip-hop despite being at the top of it. And also, like I said, he is more toxic. He clearly doesn't have any healthy relationships with women. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. But yeah, on For All the Dogs, I will be giving it a 5.3 out of 10 because I'm scared of the 6. Like, I'm not even trying to find out about that. Like, don't fuck with me. But yeah, this is undoubtedly one of the biggest releases of the year. Only parallels albums like Utopia or Pink Tape, but be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I mean, this was a super hated album, let's be honest. Go shit on it in the comments. Give me something to laugh at. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff if you're enjoying the content. I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.